Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nick here at 1 minute to 10 o'clock in the evening on Friday, the 24th of September 2021. First of all, I'd just like to have a quick shout out to my lovely sister, Neve Payne. Yesterday, she went up to university, Bath Spa University. If you attend that university, say hi. And she turned 19 on Tuesday, so a special shout out to her. She's probably not watching this, but I just wanted to give it out anyway because I'm nice. And also a special shout out to Ollie Pajak because we hung out a little bit yesterday. We did a bit of an interview for his film 50 Slices of Bonding, then went and had lunch together, and then later on we attended a screening of the film Gunpowder Milkshake. A review will be filmed hopefully tomorrow, and along with a review of Shang-Chi should be coming soon. Hopefully, time-wise isn't the best for me at the moment, due to mostly work commitments. But okay, but the main topic of this video, one take video. So if I make any bloopers, sorry. I can pause the video on the phone, but that's about it. That's the best you're gonna get. So this topic is a reaction to the news that Russell T Davies, the man who brought back Doctor Who in about 2003ish time for the show's relaunch in 2004, because it had to be brought back it was commissioned in 2003, and then production and pre-production, etc., got on the way 2003 to 2004, and then it came back in 2005 for the viewers. So Russell T Davies brought the show back, let's say 2005, because for when the show actually did return. And then he was the producer up until 2009, 2010 for the broadcast of the episodes, with the last episode being on New Year's Day 2010. And there you go, that's an example of me pausing the phone to avoid you guys having to hear a burp. Otherwise, I'd probably get criticised for burping in my videos. Again, never mind. But yeah, Russell T Davies, the man who brought back the show and was the head writer, the main showrunner, main executive producer, etc. Who basically the 2005 to 2010 era is known as the Russell T Davies era as overall, etc., etc. Keep losing where I am. He's apparently going to be coming back to be the showrunner for Doctor Who again, starting in 2023. This was a massive surprise. I didn't think this would ever happen, because same with Stephen Moffat. When Russell T Davies and also Stephen Moffat, when they finished, it was like that was it. They weren't going to write for the show again. They might write for expanded media or for spin-offs. Like Russell T Davies was still heavily involved with Torchwood and to a lesser extent the Sarah Jane Adventures. He did write two episodes rather, one story, the Sarah Jane Adventures Series 4, which allowed him to write for the 11th Doctor, and he was going to write the Series 5 finale, but that episode, if he might have written it, but the episode didn't get filmed due to Elizabeth Sladen sadly passing away, and he was quite involved with Torchwood Series 4. He wrote the first and co-wrote the last episode of that series, and he was probably quite involved with how that series went on, because that was a 10-part story, technically. Not as tightly connected as Children of Earth was, but it's still quite a big story. So he was still involved with the show to an extent, and even in 2017, he did some doodles and illustrations for a poem book by James Goss. I've got a newspaper article stuck on my door and my wardrobe door, which is open because I want to show it to you in a bit, if I remember to get to the reason why in a bit. But yeah, so yeah, you would have thought Russell T Davies, when he was going, that was kind of going to be it, besides his involvement with the expanded media, possibly expanded media, and with the spin-offs, of course. Same with Stephen Moffat when he announced his departure, and he was writing his last couple of episodes for Series 10 and the specials, and yeah, he did. He and Russell T Davies also contributed to the Doctor and Knockdown things last year, but those were small little itty bitty bits. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff we would expect former showrunners to be involved with. The itty little, tiny little minisodes or bonus things for lockdowns, or expanded media stuff, or involvement with spin-offs. But once their time on the main show is done, that seems to be it. They don't even seem to be saying they say they might not even come back to write an episode in the future, let alone come back to helm the show. And the same would be with Chris Chibnal when he goes. So, considering all of that, it is a huge surprise to hear that Russell T Davies will be returning to helm the show again in 2023, starting with either Series 14 or the 60th anniversary special, depending what he decides to start with. Hopefully, we will get a series in 2023, because otherwise that's a 2-year gap between series. And whilst 2023 could have a year of specials like 2022 could, if we're starting with a new Doctor, it might be better to start with a Christmas or New Year special, or Series 14 in 2023, Christmas 2022, New Year 2023. I'm still half expecting the first episode of Series 14 to air on New Year's Day 2023, and mean that we're going to continue having episodes on New Year's Day up until at least 2023. Maybe with Russell T Davies it moves back to Christmas, but in that case you get 2 festive specials that year. Well, especially 2 festive episodes anyway. One of them's a special, one of them's the start of the series, a bit like Series 12. But yeah, well, that's speculation for a later point. But yeah, this is extremely surprising news. It's welcome and joyful news, but it's not something I would have expected for at least a good long time. No, scratch that. It's not something I expected at all. Like I said, I would have expected Russell T Davies to be involved in like expanded media stuff or Doctor Who Lockdown or whatever, but to come back to write another episode, let alone run the show again, isn't something I was expecting. And yet here we go. It's happening. Apparently, it's gonna be a thing. I don't think this isn't a trick. This isn't a prank. It's official. At the moment, got my laptop open and it's on the official. This is the, can't really see it very well, but this is the BBC News article. I've got it, which is one of the most reliable sites. But other newspapers have got it. An actual Doctor Who article had it. A Doctor Who website article had it. One of the blog article sites that I first heard about this news from. Actually, got to give another shout out to Ollie Pager, because he actually sent me that link to that, so he kind of helped inform me about that. So another shout out to Ollie. But yeah, it seems to be happening. About 2 days ago, I think 2 or 3 days ago. I think it was the 21st, which was my sister's birthday. I think I saw a post on Twitter by what appeared to be the official Doctor Who Twitter site, and saying, who's the 14th Doctor? You've already met her. It's Jo Martin. I think it was actually a Spanish account, or a Portuguese or a South American Doctor Who account, and it seemed that it was actually more wishful thinking, and they decided to have a bit of fun with it, and it wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. But for a few seconds, a minute or two, I thought, holy shit, Jo Martin is confirmed to be the 14th Doctor. Oh, hang on. It's not actually confirmed. Actually, this site might just be having a bit of fun. So, yeah, unlike that, this Russell T Davies news is seemingly real by the looks of it, unlike the whole Twitter Jo Martin thing I just mentioned. Yeah, that was a joke for fun, I think. This, on the other hand, this is the real deal by the sounds of it. That or someone at the BBC is really, really messing with people, and in that case, they're succeeding. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. But at the moment, as all things stand, Russell T Davies is back showrunning Doctor Who after production on the 2022 specials has finished. Although he does have the time to start planning. He's got all of next year and the end of this year to start planning, depending if he's got any other projects to get out the way first, like how Chris Chibnal had basically 2.5 years to plan Series 11 and how he would take the show. But first he had to get Broadchurch Series 3 off the ground and finished and finalise that series, and then he can move on to Doctor Who with a bit of a holiday in the middle. As you do, obviously. 2 big shows. Clearly you need to have a holiday in the middle. It's common sense. Bit like how Russell and Stephen had to probably have holidays after taking on Doctor Who. In that case, Chris Chibnal, have a good holiday after you've finished everything that you need to finish. Production on the final special, which is set to air next year, is finishing around this time. If it hasn't already, it's finishing up soon. And Jodie Whittaker's last scenes have supposedly either been finished or being filmed. Have been filmed or they're going to be filmed. And yeah, so it seems like the era is coming to an end production-wise. And still got post-production, of course, and then the episodes have to actually air. Still no idea when Series 13 is going to broadcast, let alone if we're going to get a trailer or not. Actually, yeah, sorry, trailer first. No idea if we're going to get a trailer anytime soon, let alone when the release date's coming. But it'll be before the end of the year, so good. And then we'll get a New Year special, and then 2 more specials to follow. One of them I'm predicting to be Easter because it's set to be about springtime. It doesn't have to be set at Easter; it just has to air at Easter. That's my prediction. And then next autumn will be the BBC Centenary special, which is what's being filmed now or coming to the end of filming now. I heard the rumor that maybe in 2022, Series 14 was going to start up production, perhaps, or sometime in 2022, it's going to start up production, which would be really interesting and a really good thing, especially if it takes a year to make these series. That means it's ready to go in early 2023. Maybe meeting that prediction of it being starting on New Year's Day to make up for not having a festive special that year or on Christmas Day a week earlier. In that case, they've really got to get started on the pre-production if they aim to start production in early to mid 2022. But yeah, Rusty Davies, if he is indeed coming back to take over the show, he's got about a year and 3 and a bit months until 2023 arrives. So he's got all that time to plan Series 14 and the 60th anniversary special. What's interesting is this is going to be the first anniversary special or the first anniversary story to be in a series. If Series 14 precedes it, it's going to be the first one in a series. It follows a series that was a Doctor's first series. Previous anniversary stories have been just before or just after their last series. The 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor followed Matt Smith's final series, Series 7, or Season 33, and preceded the final episode, The Time of the Doctor. And the 20th anniversary special, The 5 Doctors, followed Season 20, which was Peter Davison's middle season, his second and middle, and was and just over a month and a bit later, Season 21 started airing, and that would be his final season, with the final story given to Colin Baker, because James, he wanted to introduce the 6th Doctor early. And the 10th anniversary story, The 3 Doctors, technically is closer to the 9th anniversary when you look at the release, the broadcast dates. But that started off Season 10, which was his penultimate season, 4th and penultimate, and the final season started about a month or so after the anniversary itself, the actual anniversary date, just under a month away. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Each anniversary is quite close to the following, the final season of a particular Doctor. With the 10th anniversary, Season 11, the final season of Jon Pertwee, was just under a month later, started airing. The 20th anniversary special was just over a month from Peter Davison's final season, and the Day of the Doctor was Matt Smith's penultimate episode and was just over a month away from his final episode, and was half a year following the end of his final series. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the 60th anniversary will be the first one to actually follow the first series. Then again, if Series 15 is going to be the final series, then it will probably precede that one. But hopefully the show will be recommissioned to Series 16 at the very least, at least up to Series 16. I think we need to have at least 3 years with this Doctor, and with Russell T Davies doing 3 last years. I don't know if it will get any further than Series 16, but we can always wait and see. But yeah, it's now time to speculate how things are going to go down. We've always been speculating about stuff, but now we know Russell T Davies is coming back. Time to speculate about what he might do. Is he going to do something similar to what he did with Series 1 to 4? We're going to go back to those title sequences and logos and music. Is Murray Gold going to come back to do the music, or is he going to bring in someone else, or is Second Akinola staying on board? I'd actually like Second Akinola to stay on board, because he's only done 3 series once Series 13 is sorted. So it'd be good to keep him around to do some more scores And like how Marigold stayed on to do series 5 to 10 as after series 4, so it'd be nice to see if second Akinona can would stick around to do more music. Are they going to keep the same camera lenses and camera equipment and filming stuff? Is it going to stay looking how Series 11 onwards looked? Looking pretty cinematic for the most parts, especially in certain wide location shots. It looked pretty cinematic in Series 11. Series 12, not as much, but it still looks pretty great on a visual level. And of course, who's going to be the 14th Doctor? That's still the big question in everybody's mind. Considering the final episode of the 13th Doctor is not going to be for another 13 months. 13th Doctor in 13 months' time. By 13 months to go until her regeneration, give or take a few days. But considering it's about just over a year, we're probably not going to find out who the 14th Doctor is until, I would say at earliest, early next year. So after the New Year special, but before the spring special. So January to April time, I expect we're going to find out who the next Doctor is, possibly just before filming starts for Series 14, if they're going to start in early to mid 2022. They're going to start filming. And it's another question: will they have the same production as what's the production's going to be like for the episodes? Is it going to be is it going to stay 8 to 10 15-minute episodes? We're going to go back to 13 45 to 50-minute episodes, or are we going to do something a little bit different, like what series fucking thing? It's a bit like Series 13's doing, but that's mainly due to fucking COVID. Fuck you, COVID. Excuse me, I went on a little bit of a COVID rant just there. A silent COVID rant. And violent gestures. If it was a physical thing, I probably would strangle it. Unfortunately, it's not physical, so don't worry about that. But yeah, there's still quite a lot of questions. But at the end of the day, actually no, before I get to that point, the whole thing with who's the next Doctor going to be? Well, it could be anyone. It still could be anyone, as we've already said. Could Russell T Davies cast a woman as the Doctor? The second female Doctor, or third if you count Jo Martin. I'm willing to bet yes. Partly because the gate's open, we can do it, and the Doctor's a character where not only does it work, but it's basically written in to the biology of the character years, maybe even decades before it actually happened for the first time in the actual show, not just in comedy parodies and stuff, but for years, decades, maybe even, it was part of the biology. Heck, even just regeneration in general can imply you can just basically change anything. And I suppose saying that you can't change gender in regeneration, that's like saying you can't change your age. Oh wait, that's what the whole reason for creating regeneration was in the first place. Yeah, it's when it comes to Doctor Who, the whole recasting stuff is a lot more easier to cast literally anybody because of the way it was written into the show, as opposed to saying recasting, say, James Bond, for example. If you're following the same continuity or some similar continuity, you'll probably want to stick to the same type of actors you've had in the past. With something, whilst on the other hand, you've got something like Sherlock Holmes, where you've got so many different incarnations. You could maybe your one might be something completely different. For example, Elementary cast a female Joan Watson and a female Watson for that series, so that was a little bit different for their series. Change gender swapping Watson for that one, but they could get away with doing that because there's so many incarnations around. They can do that for this time round. Next time round, we might get a female Sherlock. Not opposed to that. Someone get around to doing it. Make sure it's a new series or a new film or something, and not change any of the other one's continuity. Just completely separate new one. And again, as I was saying, they can do that because so many incarnations in their own standalone universes. They can do that. They don't cross over to each other like we've seen in, like, say, The Flash, for example, where different Flashes meet each other. that's kind of standalone. Doctor Who has regeneration established as part of the biology and the lore of the biology of the character and the lore of their people and the show. If they couldn't change gender, race, etc., then there's no point of regeneration apart from to change the age of the actors and just swap actors around, and they're different ages. Other than that, that's how it started, yeah. But since it's become a bit more embedded into the lore of the show, yeah, anyone can be the Doctor now. And if you disagree, well, go and watch some fan films and come back to me and say, so and so was able to play the Doctor even though they weren't a white male between the ages of 25 and 60. Yeah, fan films have also been doing this for years as well. And fan audios. So yeah, with Doctor Who, it's embedded into the lore, and of course with the aforementioned fan Doctors fan universes, they can have their own fun on the Doctor and take their own spin on the universe. I know quite a couple of them have done their own thing, mainly for comedy, like Aimless Wanderings, for example. Five Who fans, amazing Doctor Who fan audios. They definitely go down the more comedic route with their Doctors and exaggerate their personalities from the TV show ones into them, and they do brilliantly. And they introduced their first female Doctor in 2015. Would have been 2014 writing wise. Currently the only female Doctor, but they haven't really had many episodes made since 2016, like one or two. One in 2018 and then a couple in 2019-20. But yeah, so 20 into 21. But yeah, they've done that. Pope's Icon Productions are also even more comedy based, and they've got some really ridiculous and over the top pastiches of Doctors and characters from other franchises, and they aren't afraid to go into adult territory and mainly involved with language, but also violence and sexual references occasionally, and they're not afraid to. Well, not so much the last one actually, and they're most of the creative team behind that are LGBT or pro LGBT. So there's a lot of LGBT-esque Doctors in there, like JRPG, I believe is one of them. I won't talk too much about that because firstly, that's not the topic of this video. But secondly, I don't want to say something that's incorrect, or I'm not that knowledgeable about the topic. So I could say something that's wrong or offensive. So I won't go too far into that. But I will say this: that Pope's Icon Productions, if you basically thinks the Doctor's doesn't doesn't do adult themes, is not the person who would do that. TV show Doctor, yes. Pope's Icon Productions Doctors, they definitely go for the adult themes in some Pope's Icon Productions stuff. Think especially the language. And then, of course, personally, myself, I've got my own Doctor audiobooks, which kind of take inspiration from all of those, including, the adult themes sometimes. Depends on the story. Sometimes it's like, oh, fine, this is completely fine for children to listen to because there's nothing unsuitable for them. Maybe a month later, you then get a full-on adult one, adult only. Okay, but yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that Russell T Davies can choose whoever the fuck he wants to be the 14th Doctor, and he can choose a woman, and it will be the second or third female Doctor, depends what happens with Joe Martin's Doctor. Whether he will sort that all out, or whether Chris Chibnal is actually going to sort all of that out first, is yet to be seen. Same for Timeless Children. I'm willing to expect Chibnal's going to wrap it all up. It might be a tight squeeze, but he'll wrap it up before his year is over. And I've also got to show you something. This is what I mentioned I was going to show you earlier. Ignore everything else. Come here. Okay, this is a newspaper article from 2017, after Jodie Whittaker had just been cast as the Doctor, and Russell T Davies was doing some illustrations for a book by James Goss. You know James Goss. He's doing a lot of stuff for the Doctor Who fandom over the last 2 years, especially most notably Time Lord Victorious, and also the Masterful audio box set, which is just down here. This is not canon, though. Even by Big Finish standards, you can decide what is canon, what isn't canon when it comes to expanded media. When it comes to Masterful, that is definitely not canon. At least not as far as the ending's concerned, anyway. But yeah, in this article, Rusty Davies does mention that he would have liked to have cast a woman back when he was showrunner, but the main concern was actually getting the damn show back off the ground. And yeah, having a female Doctor was not on the agenda in 2005 for either the 9th or 10th Doctors. But now that he's coming back, he can do it if he wants to. He's certainly up for it. Or at least he was back 4 years ago anyway. So maybe Russell T Davies will cast a woman as the Doctor. As I said, he can cast whoever the fuck he wants. It's his show again when he takes over. It'll be his third Doctor, technically. So third one he'll cast. So yeah, he can cast whoever he wants. I'm willing to bet he will cast the third female actress in the role, and I look forward to seeing what they're like. I'm hoping we get a darker Doctor this time around, something not too dissimilar to the 9th Doctor. But then again, I saying that, Rusty Davies wrote and created the 9th Doctor, so maybe we won't go that. We're not going to go like that type of Doctor. The Doctor I would do if I was showrunner would kind of be an amalgamation of 8 and 9 sort of together, if in a way. So like kind of like a friendly, heroic Doctor. Like Stephen Moffat, I see the Doctor as quite of a heroic character. That being said, my Doctor is going to have a very short temper with those who really piss them off. Bit like with the first, 6th, and 12th Doctors to an extent. Maybe some of those are added in there as well. And when they go dark, they go deep dark, really dark. That's the type of Doctor I would want to start with, and maybe go for a more fun one later on down the line if I got to do a second one. But yeah, the first one I would certainly start off with a heroic, but with a heroic incarnation, with a short temper, for those who pissed them off, and could get quite dark if you push them over the edge enough. I'd definitely like to write some scenes where they really rant at a Dalek for 5 minutes. They would literally shout at a Dalek that how awful the Daleks were. The Daleks would just sit there listening to them, scream into their eye sockets, and just wouldn't give a shit. That's an encounter I'd like to see. The Doctor just screams at the Dalek how much they hate them, and the Daleks just don't care. They might be a bit scared, but that's as far as it goes. The Daleks are scared of the Doctor, obviously. Especially, that's something Rusty Davies established in Series 1. The Series 1 finale, which is the best finale of the show, by the way. Best series finale, I should say. So yeah, it'd be interesting to write a scene like that. But that's something I would do. I think Rusty Davies might go for someone who is a little bit darker than the 13th Doctor, but maybe not as dark as the 12th or the 9th. Or maybe we might have someone like 12, but Series 10, 12, I should say, a bit more balanced, etc. And yeah, we might find ourselves with someone a little bit darker than 13, as I just mentioned, but not as dark as, say, 9 or pre-Series 10 or Series 8 to 12. Not pre-Series 10. Series 9 wasn't as dark. Well, the character wasn't as dark. But yeah, it's not going to be as dark as the 9th Doctor, but it's not going to be as fun as the 13th Doctor. I don't want to say he's going to do the 10th Doctor again. I think it will be... Now he's got the chance to write a completely new character separate from the 9th and 10th Doctor's characters. He'll choose something a bit differently. So long as it's not something like 11, 12, and 13, then yeah, I think he'll create a brand new characteristic for his 3rd Doctor. And how long is he going to be showrunning the show? As I mentioned, we're only got confirmed up to Series 15 at the moment. Can the show carry on beyond that? Will the BBC be able to negotiate with the Chinese network or an American network or something to have the show carry on beyond Series 15? They might do a deal with HBO to say, hey, we can now go up to Series 20, for example. And that means Rusty Davies could be show running up to, say, Series 17, for example, and then they bring in someone for the last 3 years, like Chibnal did the Series 11 to 13. They might bring in someone for 3 years, or Davies might do 3 years, and then someone comes in to do 4 years, and they bring in their doctor then, or Davies sticks around, does 2 more doctors, and they do like 3 years each or something. It's all speculation at this point in time, but yeah. And I think that's really about it I've got left to say about it. Otherwise, I'm just going to go in circles or ramble. I shall finish off by saying, Russell T Davies, welcome back to Doctor Who. We are looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table, and we wish you the very best of luck. Here's to you. But first, as he said in when he was interviewed, or when he was asked for a statement for the articles, etc. But first, we've still got 9 more episodes of Chris Chibnal and Jodie Whittaker to, I would say, look forward to, but not everyone's going to look forward to it. We've still got that to come. So, yeah, still got 9 more episodes. And like Russell T Davies, Russell T Davies, like us, will be viewers for those episodes. And then it'll be his turn again, I should say, to come back. Also, just because Russell T Davies is coming back doesn't mean Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnal will return to be showrunners again later down the line. I'm not sure what the decision process behind this was, but I think maybe they were just desperate. Possibly. I think maybe they couldn't find anybody they wanted or that was suitable, and so they just begged Russell T Davies to come back, or Russell was open to coming back and they just asked him. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get the full story later down the line. What's also interesting is that Bad Wolf Productions, a production company that Julie Gardner, another executive producer during Russell T Davies' time, and Jane Tranter, the head of the BBC head of drama at the time of when the show was commissioned to be relaunched, and she hired Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner. They created their own production company, Bad Wolf Productions. They were involved with His Dark Materials. They still got Series 3 to do, so I think they will do that first, which hopefully will be, if it's not coming out this year because of the fucking pandemic, it'll probably come out next year. Maybe early next year, hopefully. We'll see. I think Doctor Who Series 13 is going to take His Dark Materials slot in this autumn. And then maybe His Dark Materials might be early to mid next year, which then certainly for people who like watching both shows would be able to fill in the gaps. A bit like when Robin Hood, Merlin, and Atlantis filled in some gaps in the year when Doctor Who wasn't showing. We got some fantasy dramas to fill in the gaps between the series of Doctor Who by the BBC. They stopped doing that. They cancelled Atlantis Series 3, and apart from a series called Taboo in early 2016, they haven't really done long dramas on Saturday nights. They haven't done... Taboo was 8 episodes, but they haven't done 13-odd episode long series on Saturday nights like Doctor Who. Sunday nights, even Sunday nights, whilst that's now, since 2017, I would say, has been the night for dramas, including Doctor Who. Doctor Who's the only one that really goes past maybe 6 to 8 episodes, except for this upcoming series because of the fucking pandemic. But certainly for series 11 and 12, it was more than 6 to 8 episodes. So, per series, not including the specials. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe that will be an inspiration to kickstart some more Saturday or Sunday night dramas that are longer than 6 to 8 episodes. Maybe something more akin to 12, for instance, 10 to 12, maybe 13. A bit bigger budgets, maybe exploring more genres other than drama. Drama is a great series, but it'd be interesting to explore some other genres outside of just drama, so like fantasy, for example, with Merlin and Atlantis. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens. Same with potential spin-offs. Russell T Davies could ignite a spin-off, some more spin-offs, or we might actually get that Torchwood revival. Lots of people have been wanting for over a decade. We might have Torchwood Series 5, TV Series 5. Russell T Davies actually gave his blessing for Big Finish to technically do Series 5 and 6 in audio form. However, since the last bit of what would have been Series 6 was 2019, and they haven't said anything about what would be Series 7. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. We might have a Torchwood spin-off, perhaps, to take its place. If I was a showrunner, I probably would do a Torchwood-esque show, a Torchwood spin-off, so it wouldn't be with the Cardiff team from the original series, partly because of Big Finish doing what they wanted, and secondly, in case we weren't allowed to do that. So it would be kind of a bit of a separate thing, but connected to the Torchwood show as well as the Doctor Who. Might have a returning character be the leader of the team, like, say, Ace or Yaz, for example. This would be post Yaz leaving the TARDIS next year. That is another thing. Is Mandip Gill actually going to be leaving next year? I know John Bishop's only signed on for 1 year because he's got his tour coming later this year, but will Mandip Gill actually leave this year? Would Russell T Davies be happy to write Yaz into his series? If the answer to that is yes, I think he would definitely develop the family dynamic a heck of a lot more. Yeah, I think we can expect to see a bit more family stuff in the next series. I still say Yaz's family was better developed than Bill's, though. Maybe even Clara's. Post Series 7. No, scratch that. Post the end of Series 7. It wasn't so great in Time of the Doctor. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if RTD would go back to that more, the family involvement centered, etc., more drama and soapy stuff. He's definitely done it. His most notable recent programs have been comedies like Cucumber Banana, and hard-edged dramas like Years and Years and It's a Sin. So it'd be interesting to see that come back around. And also, people who are saying there's a lot of politics in Doctor Who now, or it's really in your face and obvious, don't expect that to change when Russell T Davies takes over. Just because Chris Chibnal is leaving, don't expect the politics to go away or to be less subtle or in your face or stories to be driven by them. Considering Russell T Davies' previous era's showrunner was probably one of the most political eras of the show, along with Barry Letts's back in the early to mid 1970s, and I suppose also Chibnall's, I guess. Yeah, don't expect it to be dying down anytime soon. At all. In fact, expect it to dial up a little bit. Especially considering, again, Russell T Davies' 2 most recent dramas have been heavily political, especially Years and Years. I haven't seen them yet, but I know they are incredibly political. Years and Years, the whole concept is political. It's basically Turn Left, but for an entire series. And even more bleak and depressing. Yeah, don't expect the politics to be dying down anytime soon. Chibnall or not. So, yeah, again, that's pretty much it, I guess. Yeah, expect more family dynamic stuff. Don't expect the politics to go down. In fact, expect the political stuff to get even more obvious in your face. That's not a negative thing, by the way. I'm just saying, if you think the politics is too on the nose in Chibnall's era, don't expect it to change when Russell T Davies comes back. And if it does, it's going to be even more so. It's a harsh truth, but it's the truth. And if you deny it, well, you're just in denial. Or you haven't watched the original Russell T Davies era in a long time. In which case, go and watch series 1 to 4 and the specials again. Get a bit of a refresh. Especially series 1. Case in point, Aliens in London World War III. That is an extremely political story. Russell T Davies even gets to kill off the Prime Minister in that story. Twice. Two Prime Ministers in that story. One of them off-screen, technically, and the other one's just living, but yeah, technically he killed off 2 Prime Ministers in that story. And then later down the line, he makes the Master one. And the best Prime Minister he has be deposed of. The best of his Prime Ministers, I should say. that being Harriet Jones, and then he kills her as well later down the line as well. And the Master also gets killed. See what I mean? That's just prime ministers, and he also created the species the Ood, which are based on basically a slave race. Series 4 episode Planet the Ood basically delves into that. Slivine, and pretty much most of the Series 1 villains are capitalists. Yeah, it's quite... Series 1 to 4 and the specials are quite political. So again, don't expect the politics to die down with Series 14 just because RTD is in charge. Again, in anything, they might go even more on the nose. Right, I think that is it now. Thank you so much for watching this ramble video. I apologise for it being too long, and if you found it boring. I hope you found it interesting, though, what I've got to say, my thoughts. Personally, I'm really excited to see Rusty Davies come back and handle the show. It'd be interesting to see how he does it, and how different it is compared to Series 1 to 4, as well as how it stands alongside Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall's eras as well, and how it's going to be in the future, as well as what he's got planned for the 60th anniversary. That would be interesting. Who knows, maybe he will call in Moffat and Chibnall to help him with that one, and it's a free showrunner spectacular. Honestly, I think the three of them together could write or produce a really great 60th anniversary special. I don't think Russell T Davies was that involved with the 50th anniversary, but there was that bit in Five-ish Doctors reboot where he did have that fun cameo where he tried to be involved. So yeah, that was fun. He was involved for that at least. Anyway, that is definitely it. I think that is it. If I come up with anything else, I'll discuss it another time. Thank you so much for watching. Comment your thoughts down below. Behave, be nice, be civil, and have fun. See you guys next time. Goodbye.